What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're here to talk about KSI, Jake Paul. Who do you think is going to win? This is the fight that has been anticipated for 3 years now, and that will decide who truly is the best YouTube boxer. It's happening, hopefully it goes down this year by the end of 2021, but who knows. As you can probably see from the title of the video, I'm telling you right now, I think KSI is going to win it. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion at the moment, but hear me out, stick with me, and here's why. Just to give me a bit of background, I've been watching YouTube and been a fan of quite a few YouTubers for many years now, since around 2012. And when YouTube boxing became a thing and when KSI called out the Paul brothers for a fight, ever since then I just got super invested in the whole storyline. And because of that I also got into traditional heavyweight boxing such as Anthony Joshua and Muhammad Ali. I watched a lot of their fights. And that all inspired me so much that I bought my own gloves, got a bag and started boxing myself. I think I'm pretty sick. But anyway, KSI versus Jake Paul. Let's get it. So I am a fan of KSI. I started watching him years and years ago when him and his brother would record FIFA together and play scary games together. I thought together they were incredibly funny, and ever since then I've just been watching his videos. And even now I really enjoy listening to his music and I enjoy some of his YouTube content. On the other hand, I do not like Jake Paul. Just the way he is and some of the things he's done in the past and some of the things he's still doing now. You know, he's a bit of a twat, he is. And he's very self-obsessed and only really cares about himself. His content is just painful to watch and doesn't seem like a very nice guy. But trust me though, my feelings towards these two do not blind me to the boxing skill that they have and do not contribute to who I think would win. So looking at both fighters, they both had 3 fights and are both undefeated. Starting with Jake Paul, he's fought Deji, Gibb and Nate Robinson. Jake is a really good boxer. He's the most technical, his punches are quick and look like he actually hits really hard, and when you see him fighting, he looks like an actual boxer. His first fight was against KSI's younger brother Deji. He wasn't great, but he did get the win in the end, and it was very early on in his boxing career. He has definitely leveled up a lot since his fight with Deji. He beat Gibb in the first round. You gotta give credit to him. A lot of the UK fans were wanting to see that fight and claimed he was ducking Gibb, and for him to win like that, it was impressive. And most recently, Nate Robinson, who he just battered. No surprise there. So, a 5th round, 1st round and 2nd round KO. Yes, what we've seen from Jake has, on paper, been better than what we've seen from KSI. And yes, Jake Paul is at a higher level than JJ at this moment in time, and if they were to fight right now, then in theory, Jake would win. But when the time comes and they do fight, I still believe that JJ will win between them. I will say that what has been put in front of JJ has been much tougher in his 3 fights than Jake's. He has been up against far greater competition than Jake has. Now let's look at KSI. First he fought Joe Weller, he beat him convincingly and got the knockout. Yes, Weller didn't really throw any punches, but he was an athlete and JJ got the win at the end of the day. I think it's fair to say that that was a very even fight. Then he went up against Logan Paul twice, and make no mistake, Logan is a unit. He was much bigger and athletic than JJ. He had to go through the mental battle of losing the first 2 rounds in the first fight and use his brain to come back from that. He got a draw at the end of the day, but for the rematch he was seriously the underdog. Logan was much bigger, he had more time to train, the fight was in his home country and so on, but he pulled through and won on points. Also, he had to get back up after being knocked down and was still able to outbox Logan. Jake's never done that. He's never fought anyone bigger than him or fought anyone where he was at a disadvantage. He's never been put to the test like JJ has. KSI just has this thing about him where he just always seems to win. He just puts in the work and does whatever he needs to do to beat his opponents, no matter the odds. I don't think Jake's got that. JJ 100% has a stronger mentality and confidence than Jake. Yes, he has won everything so far, but KSI beating Logan was far much of a tougher climb than when Jake beat Deji. Vidal said on a True Geordie podcast, if he fights Jake the same way he fought Logan, then he will lose.
He cannot box Jake Paul how he boxed Logan Paul on both occasions. He has to come better than that.
But I know that he won't fight Jake the same way he boxed Logan, because he levels up every single time tremendously with every fight. KSI and Jake are the same size, so that already makes it much more even. He won't need to start fast and swing like crazy like he did against Logan. He could use his jab and keep Jake at a distance if he wanted to, like quite a bit of what he did against Joe Weller. Now let's talk about both guys' power. Jake definitely has power. His shots look like they hurt, and that's evident with the quick knockdowns he's had in his 2 pro fights, but we've only ever seen him hit people who are smaller than him. KSI, on the other hand, I feel like he has that raw strength, that raw power within him. You know, in his fight with Joe Weller and even his first fight with Logan, it didn't really look like his punches were anything that special. But ever since he went pro, all that extra weight he put on, I feel like that really helped with his power. In the rematch, whenever KSI would throw a flurry of punches, Logan would always back away and be running away almost. Also, KSI's little less fit brother was able to do this to Jake's face with head guards and 12-ounce gloves. Imagine what the older, faster, stronger brother would do to him with 10-ounce gloves and no headgear over 6 rounds. He might actually break his face.
Honestly, I'm saying that JJ is going to be a hell of a competition for Jake. 100%. Because JJ can actually fight. And he's got heart, willpower, strength. Oh, bro, come on. He's an Olatunji. Come on now. You just, I don't even need to say anything. You should know by now. Alright? You should know by now. JJ, he's a dark horse. That's the word that people were always saying about JJ. He's a dark horse. So you think you know what you get, but you don't know what you get. You get what you get when you get it. Damn straight.
In his fights, KSI is a bit of a brawler. He usually swings for the fences, his punches seem to come from nowhere, and he's very wild. But you know who else throws like that? The hardest hitting boxer on the planet, Deontay Wilder, who has that serious one-punch knockout power, and I think KSI shares that with Wilder. Although I think KSI will win, I'm not saying this is going to be easy for him by any means. He needs to train as hard as he possibly can, muster up all his strength and beat Jake Paul. If JJ trains like that and comes in with the mentality that he's always had, then he will stop Jake. So my prediction for this fight, whenever it happens, I can see this fight going very similar to fights like Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman and Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. JJ is going to take a lot of punishment from Jake in those early rounds, but we've seen him take huge shots from his older brother, so it's clear that KSI can handle that. I see Jake starting fast. He's going to underestimate KSI and go for the early knockout, while JJ is going to use his jab and keep Jake away. Jake's going to win the early rounds, but since he's never really had to go past the early rounds in his pro fights, he's going to start to gas out. The only time he's ever had to go into the later rounds was with Deji, and he seriously struggled. I think as the fight goes on for him, it's going to start to drag and he's going to get real tired. That's when KSI starts coming forward and throws combinations on Jake until he wins or knocks him out. So I predict a knockout win by Olatunji. So being from the UK and a KSI fan, I hope that happens. KSI is the hero, Jake Paul is the villain. I cannot wait for this fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.